Good morning. My name is David Shenz. I'm the Vice President for Operations at ERP Suites. I'm really excited to be joined by Sean Mead, who is our Head of Security.
Good morning, David. It's really good to be here.
We talk a lot about processes, process controls, and how to kind of limit risk that way. One of the ways that many of our customers have been talking to us about is payment fraud and payment controls around the payment process. When I think of payment fraud, in the old days, it was usually somebody got a hold of a check and tried to doctor the check. But we're starting to see many more sophisticated cases of payment fraud. Could you maybe talk a little bit about payment fraud, how it occurs, and kind of what are the most common threats there?
So we've talked about how people try and begin that process. Email phishing, things of that nature, getting accounts, or just trying to fool someone into changing an account. I look like a vendor. I try and send it from a vendor-looking address, as it were, and then I'm going to ask you to, hey, for your next payment, we've changed banks or whatever. And that's how, and I'm just wanting to put that as the top of our cake, as it were. So now we're going to dig into it and go through the layers, which are the automation, the protection, the email. All of those different things still come down to humans at the end. The humans who are doing the job. We can override systems if there are not protections and layers put into those systems to stop us from doing that. So, for example, if I have the ability to change how someone is paid and I'm the one who gets compromised and I didn't realize it, if that's the only step in the process, then you already own me. And you own part of my company, quite literally, possibly. So those business processes and that payment fraud, software, I know JDE has ways to set up double checks, but we should also have double checks set up with other accounts if you're not using JDE even or a credit card. I want to pay, hey, you usually pay with a credit card. It could be a disgruntled employee from another company, and they knew that. They were in their finance department, and they know how to ask us questions. So again, it comes down to that training and the business process that says standard audit procedure. I mean, banks are well aware of this, but a standard audit procedure should be that if you're dealing with finances and of any type, you need at least two pair of eyes, not just one. Any one person can get compromised in any number of ways, and that's why banks as a standard have two people who have to go in to the vault, two people who have keys, so that if one person is compromised at any given point in time, no matter how they are, and in this case we're talking more cyber compromise, then there still is that double check, it's that safety net. So those business processes are at least as important as all the software solutions that we can put in play.
That's great. 'Cause when I think about AP fraud especially, I think the kind of common controls one is segregation of duties, right? I need to have the person who's writing the invoice is separate from the person who's issuing the payments. The person who's writing payments has that kind of second control on top of it, that second layer of approval to make sure that the people that they're paying make sense, and that could even have different layers of authorization. I think another one too, Sean, that we've talked about in the past too, is when a customer or a vendor wants to change payment information, that the person who's maintaining the vendor master has to really do a couple checks. Not only do they need to verify themselves that this is the right thing and that the email came from a legitimate source, but they also need to verify with the bank that it's a valid account number, and third, that they need to also verify with the company who they really think and reach out to through a different channel to verify that that is the right payment information.
Correct. I mean, those business processes are so critical. That's I love that term. That's one of my favorite terms, segregation of duties. Least privilege. I know that we see it in all the military movies and all the spy movies, the need to know and that phrase, and it always sounds so subterfuge and covert, but it really is a great policy. There are things that the security with which I'm entrusted would imply that, he should just have access to anything in the company. But I don't want that because if I'm compromised, I don't want something beyond my world, as it were, to be able to be just automatically walked into. I should not have the ability to go into all the finances. I'll be targeted for my own reasons. If everyone has access to everything and there's no segregation, and I don't know why people always want this, because really there's a certain point where why would you want to have that? I would not want, for example, even though we set policies and things of that nature for firewalls, just as an example, I don't want access to that. Actually, I don't think anyone wants me to have access to that because I fat finger keyboards a lot, and that could be very bad for us all. That segregation of duties is an audit requirement almost always. But hey, even if you're not getting audited on a regular basis, as far as having to worry about certifications, SOC certifications, that kind of stuff, it's just good practice to segregate those duties. It creates those layers. Because quite honestly, you know, I heard this a long time ago from someone who used to work in the Secret Service, and he was talking about how, you know, they work with, they have to protect someone that is targeted all the time. The issue is they're just trying to make it to where there are enough layers to where hopefully you'll slow someone down enough to catch them before they make it to the end of the road. That's what all security is about. It's all about that. There's always someone intelligent enough to make it to the end of the road, but can we find them before they make it to that? And segregation of duties is a big way to do that.